Welcome back to tonight's sad reality, or I guess my internal dialogue, or your daily dose of sad reality. I don't even know. Um, Today was not just a productive day, but like I finally put out another small video, small short, whatever. That was good. Last night was a bit of a disappointment though, and I guess that's what I'm gonna be yapping about tonight because I don't really believe in second chances. I think they're dumb. And my justification for that is as follows. Um, a lot of times, the way people work, we're kind of set into our own behaviorisms, and from someone who's worked in retail, it's very easy to read people, or maybe my hubris exceeds me a little bit, and I think it's easy to read people, and maybe it's not. Um, but you can read people, and people have patterns, history repeats itself, but how long do you think it takes someone to change? I think that's a very interesting question that I don't think people really think that much about. But the reason I think it's important is because, well, if you give people a second chance a little bit too early, there's a good chance they haven't really changed any, if that's the desired outcome, you know? Um, Event Horizon. Nice. By the way, I love science and astronomy and all this cool stuff. I was talking with my dad tonight about, the funny Veritasium video about if you had a light bulb, a wire that is a super long wire, and the speed of light, and all that stuff. I don't know. It was cool. That was a nice little conversational bit. But, and I guess even back to the point of what I was saying, I have the same conversations a lot, and my dad was like, haven't you mentioned this before? And you know, I think I have. I think I really truly have, and that's because I'm super basic as a person. I feel like I'm really easy to read, and maybe that's what I use to justify thinking that I understand people to any extent. Um, but I think it's not hard to figure people out, and once you do, well, that's that. So if person A makes a mistake, well, you expect person A to make that same mistake again, because that's people are people, you know? Especially when it's personality driven and it's not like a small thing. Um, and that's fine, you know, nobody's perfect. No, I'm not, certainly not. I mean, I don't know, the world, it's full of messes. I would even say I'm one. I'll sneeze. My genetics are a mess, my allergies are a mess. Um, but you know what, I'd like to hope that I provide some other type of value to the world, whether that's laughing stock or that's something else, some other reason to do things. And then you have to look at people as a whole when it comes to, do you think that the positives outweigh the negatives, you know? And if they don't, then bye, I guess, right? um, I don't know. It's very easy to quickly judge people, which in my experience it has been. And I think that's the easy thing to do, is to go quickly and see things. I think it's a little bit harder to give people a second chance, but at the same time, if you know it's not going to pay out, it's like an unnecessary gamble, an unnecessary risk. Like, why... I was watching a Lewis Rossman video earlier, and one of the points he made up was that he thinks morally we should train people up and do things, and I totally agree with all these things too, but like from the perspective of pure business, pure money, whatever, there's no reason to invest in people if they are going to leave, again, just from the perspective of money. I think there's plenty other considerations, and I think he's right, like, I'm not saying I disagree with this point, but, if that's the only consideration, then why do anything different? So, kind of back to what I'm saying, if the only consideration is that people will make that same mistake, then I guess why allow them to come back, you know? And I've done this so many times where, like, someone screws up horrendously, like, they do something really awful in my life, and then you watch them do it again and again, and I'm like, okay, you know what, let's set a boundary, and move past boundary, and then I'm like, okay, fine, then that's that. And then they find later that they're bored because they wanted that guy who's consistently around. It's like, I'm collecting rocks right now. This is rocks charge. We're collecting rocks in this game. Rocks don't move. They're nice to have around. I guess I just have a rock collection in my room. In fact, do I still have them in my desk? No, I don't think so. I've got a starfish down here. Mini playing cards, Pokemon things, highlighters, pencils, Sharpies, all sorts of interesting things in my desk. I kind of forgot that those were there until I'm just like, I have lots of things there. But, they don't move, right? And you'd like to be able to find things. I like when my room is organized the way I want it to be. Don't get me wrong, I like when it's clean too, and I guess shout out to the parents that clean their kids' rooms, because me sitting here, I'm degenerate still, and, I don't know, like, that sets off allergies bad, but then it's like, where did all my things go? This is my perfect mess. I know where everything is. If we leave it a mess, I can navigate it. I can chart the uncharted seeds to those who have not charted the seeds, because I was the one who laid the seeds. Something. Where was I going with this? Person gets bored, tries to figure out, like, how to weasel their way back into my life or whatever, and then I'm like, okay, fine, I'll let you have another chance with it. And then, whether it's a matter of days, weeks, or little hours in some cases, minutes even, people screw up again, you know? I finished Hades too, and one of the cool things, I guess, spoiler alert, one of the plot lines ends between Arachne and Athena, where Arachne is like, suck it, Athena, I will never apologize to you because you gods are stupid. And, okay, they never learn their lesson, and then that's the resolution to that story, I guess. And I think there's a lot more depth to it than I'm conveying here. But I think there's also something to be said that even the span of literal hundreds of years, maybe even thousands in the context of the game or the story being portrayed, people don't change. There's still gonna be those same mistakes made. And what do we do about that? You know? I mean, is there anything we do about it, or do we just, like, do we not do anything? I don't know. The reason I say that is last night I was, like, a little bit pissed off because one of the guys who's been working with me for a while, I think he was just bored and he was like, I'm out of here. And it was just kind of sudden, and I'm like, okay, did you do anything else we told you to work on? I don't think so, anyways. I didn't even ask him, but the other people in the group were like, you know, nothing was lost. Why worry about this? And I'm like, you know what? I'm not worried about it at all either, because it wasn't even my idea to invite this guy back into the group to work on, like, YouTube stuff. This was their idea. And I said very clearly, too, I was like, hey, look, this is y'all's mistake if you want it to be. I don't want person back, but if you think someone has potential, which I think he does, then, you know, feel free to tap into that. But nothing good can stay. Nothing good ever lasts, and that goes for people, personalities, the internet as a whole, and that's why I don't really believe in second chances, I guess. And I was actually playing this game for a really specific reason. So, take humanity, for example. People suck. We're really good at destroying things. You look at Adam and Eve, and it's like, first thing we do, we lie to God, Cain and Abel, they start killing each other, and this is like, what, still chapter 1 in the Bible? Already super deep plot, shout out to whoever wrote that thing. But people, we're gonna keep making the same mistakes over and over again. That's just who we are. When I think of, like, the whole AI mess and stuff nowadays, or, like, I think Anthropic had some, like, super genius model that's good at hacking or something, that got out, and now, like, hackers have it. Okay. Whoop-de-doo, I think they predicted this in, like, 8 different Hollywood movies. But malicious people are always going to do malicious things, so then why do we put bombs in the hands of people who can then do those things? I don't know. That's a good question. But, like, if you could reset the world, right? If you could go back, and you could prevent AI, you could prevent Hiroshima, you could prevent World War II, you could prevent any of these things. In my opinion, and this is probably the cynicist's view, I think we would still screw things up. Humanity would. I don't think there... I always hate looking at things when it's like there's no solution. It's like there's gotta be a way around this, you know? Like you're trying to drag your dad to church, or you're trying to make something happen. You, as an engineer, the goal, you gotta find new ways to do things, because when people are not cooperative, then you have to get a little creative. I guess so is the world of the wacky world that is people interacting and all that. But imagine a puzzle for a second where it doesn't matter how creative you are, the answer is still nothing. It's like, I want to say the whole unstoppable force meets an immovable object. Like, if you had all the creativity in the world, but something you just fundamentally couldn't change, that being the way humanity, we've kind of coded ourselves into the world. How do you move forward with that? You know? And to me, one of the weirder things too is I've experienced people giving up on me so many times. I think I just stopped caring. And maybe that's a little dangerous too, because you should always care about people. I think fundamentally that's kind of important. But as soon as you're like, okay, well, why should I care about this if it's going to keep happening? Then I think you also... Coming to terms with it the right word? Maybe it is. But then I wouldn't be talking about it if I'd actually fully come to terms with it. Because, like, if it still bothers you, then have you really come to terms with it? I don't know. I was reading a thing the other day, and I thought it was very interesting. It was probably one of my favorite bars I ever saw, and something I read, but it was something along the lines of, if you still feel anger or sadness or some intrinsic level of, like, this bothers you and it's like something needs to change, I guess is the best way. What they said was, your soul hasn't atrophied yet. I'm like, ooh, good word, atrophy, love that. Whereas I think the more we are set into our ways, the less we're bothered by things and life moves on, but perhaps it moves on not in the best way possible. Like, perhaps we're looking at a puzzle and it is solvable, and we would never know if we never actually tried. You know? So I guess kind of the frame of reference here is the dangerous thing in the first place, is how you frame that puzzle, and I guess how you look at humanity or people. I really wish it was like the Undertale mentality of, like, you really can save everyone, you really can, like, there is a good ending to this, in a world where it doesn't look so bright, but maybe there's not. Maybe there is and maybe there's not, and I don't think that's something I'll ever see the end of, you know? So, thanks for watching tonight's Sad Reality. If you're bored, tell your best friend that you care about them, I guess, because it's probably been a minute since I've heard that. And all that said, this is actually a very tame way I think that I was going to handle this subject, because last night I was probably a little bit more pissed than I'm presenting here, but, like, it is what it is. Welcome to being a guy in his 20s, I guess. I'll see you in tomorrow's Sad Reality. Have a good one, y'all.